All right, okay, so I have shared my screen and I hope that you guys are able to see the screen. Okay, so yesterday I gave you some homework questions and I got most of the homeworks. They were correct. There was just one problem. So I just mentioned that problem, okay? All of you were able to do the questions correctly. There was just one student who had a small mistake, but now that's sorted. So it means that we are good with the quadratic plotting. We know how to find the vertex. You can call it the vertex, you can call it the stationary point, the turning point, the maximum point, the minimum point, whatever you feel like. Then we have some intercept points. When we say intercept points, basically they are the points at which your graph would be cutting the axis, right? When I say axis, it could be the x-axis, it could be the y-axis. Okay, so far we have discussed 6 units of quadratic equations and 3 more are left. Let's talk about the 7th and the most important one. So I am going to write down the heading. It's very, very important. 1.7. This is the 7th unit of the first chapter, that is quadratic equations, and it is solving quadratic inequalities. All right, okay. Now in O levels, I know we discuss linear inequalities and we discuss quadratic inequalities as well, but at times we are just learning that concept that if this inequality would come, this would be the answer. If it would come the other way around, we just do it that way. But in AS, we are going to discuss the detailed method and the procedure of solving any quadratic inequality. First of all, you need to understand one thing. When the question says solving, it means you need to find the range of values of x which would satisfy the inequality. Let me write down an example and then you would get a better understanding. Okay, let's talk about the very first question. It is x squared minus 5x minus 14 greater than 0. Okay, now this is a quadratic expression because it has x squared and then it has an inequality sign. So it is a quadratic inequality, fair enough. You need to solve it. When I say solve it, you need to find the range of x. This time around, you would get a range because it is an inequality. It is not an equation. Since it is not an equation, so you would not get one specific value. Okay, enough of the discussion. Let's see how to solve it. Okay, initial steps are clear. Initial steps are same. We are going to factorize it and then we will see a very big difference in linear inequalities and quadratic inequalities. So let's start off with a simple working. Let's talk about the solution of this quadratic inequality. So step 1 is just factorizing it. Okay, so I know I need two numbers such that when I multiply them, I get minus 14x squared, and when I add those two numbers, I get minus 5x. So I can start off with x squared plus 2x minus 7x minus 14 greater than 0. I'm just factorizing the quadratic part of it. That is it. I'll take x common, x plus 2 minus 7 common, x plus 2 greater than 0, and it would give me x minus 7 into x plus 2 greater than 0. All right, okay, let's wait over here and let's discuss this part. Now I have factorized the quadratic part of the inequality and I got x minus 7 into x plus 2 is greater than 0. Now at this point, Please remember, you are not supposed to do it this way, that x minus 7 is greater than 0 and x plus 2 is greater than 0 and this would give the answer. No, it won't give you the answer. If two numbers are being multiplied and if you are getting a positive number, it could be that the two factors are positive, or it could be that both the factors are negative. We are not sure about this, okay? So unlike linear inequalities, we cannot solve it this way. After factorization, we need to plot the graph. At this point, plotting is mandatory. Plotting is very important. Some students just, make a few cases and just remember it, that if this would come, this would be the answer. If this would come, this would be the answer. But that is not right. You'll have to memorize a lot in that case, okay? Let's quickly make a rough graph. Only a rough graph, okay? I know that the x-intercepts would be x equals 7 and x equals minus 2. Okay, I'm just making a rough graph for this quadratic equation. This is an inequality, but I will just think about it as an equation. I'll make the graph. So it is minus 2 and this part is 7. So let me make the graph quickly, just a rough graph. No need to make a perfect shape, not at all, okay? All right, okay. So this is how my graph would look like. Now, this is basically the graph of y equals x squared minus 5x minus 14. Since this part is greater than 0, I can say that y is greater than 0. Now, when y is greater than 0, first of all, I need to highlight that part of the graph. This is my y-axis, this is my x-axis. What do I see? Y is greater than 0. So I am going to talk about this part of the graph. When I am saying this part of the graph, I will highlight the parts of the graph corresponding to the positive y-axis. Okay, so everything above the x-axis, right? All the y points on this part would have a positive y coordinate, and all the y points or y coordinate for these points would be positive y coordinate. So this is the part of the graph I need to focus on, and these are my points, right? So again, the question was about solving this quadratic inequality. I am interested in the x values. So it means that from here to here, all the x values would give me the correct answer. So x would be less than minus 2. And if I talk about this part of the graph, I would be referring to this. X would be greater than 7. So the answer would be x is less than minus 2 or x is greater than 7. This is going to be the answer. Now, please pay attention. I'll explain it again. Okay. Here we are discussing how to solve a quadratic inequality. It is different, but it is not difficult. It's very easy. Trust me. Okay. Step one is to factorize your quadratic inequality. The question is written with the red pen: x squared minus 5x minus 14 greater than 0. I factorized that and my factors turned out to be x minus 7 and x plus 2. Fair enough. Step 2 is you're not supposed to conclude the answer directly, not at all. Make a rough structure of the graph using a pencil, just a rough structure to know the answer. Okay, so I can see that the x-intercepts would be x equals 7 and x minus 2, and I know that it was positive 1 with x squared, so it would be a u-shaped curve, and I just made a rough sketch. That is it. Now I know that this part of the graph is greater than 0, so I can say that y is also greater than 0. It means I will be focusing on positive y. Positive y is basically the part above the x-axis. So I highlighted all the points with positive y coordinate. Okay, and I am going to talk about the x coordinates of those points. Okay, so this was the graph, and I know it would be going on like this continuously, and this was the graph. So I have two separate ranges for x. Okay, I know that x would be less than -2, I can go till -infinity, and x is greater than 7, I can go till infinity. So these are going to be my two ranges for solving this quadratic inequality. Yes. Now please tell me if you have understood this or not. Yes, please confirm, be honest with yourselves.
Miss, I just want to make sure.
Hmm?
Miss, in the last part you said that Miss, in here, like the arrow that you drew from -2.
Okay, yes, yes,
This
yes.
one, like we drew it to the left side because the y-axis is going to the left side, and in 7 we drew it like to the right side because of the graph
Exactly.
that showed us the y.
Yes,
So
that is
that's
true.
why we. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, Miss.
because I'll tell you, because you know how is the shape of the graph. I'll just erase this. Oh, I've erased that. 1 second. Acha, 1 second only. I'll try it. Yes. How is the shape of this graph? It's going on like this. It's going on like this, right? It's going on like this. So you cannot make the entire graph. It would be going on like this. So you can see that we are basically moving towards the left side. And here we are basically moving towards the right side. That is why I have used these arrows, and that is why x would be less than -2 and here x would be greater than 7, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. I would just expect that from this example, only 30% of the concept should be clear, not more than that. I can understand it completely. We will be talking about more examples and then this would make more sense. Okay. Okay. And what about the other student?
Ma'am,
Yes.
so, we say that y is greater than 0. Is it because of the consonant of, of x squared is it because it's positive? So it's.
No, yes, that is
okay, all right, okay.
It is because of this, okay? Because of this
all
sign.
right, okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Because of the coefficient of x squared, we are only going to determine the basic shape of the graph. It is a U-shaped graph because the coefficient is positive, okay? Yes, okay. And what about the other students? Rafe, Saad, and Ahmed. Is it okay?
No,
okay, great.
Yes, clear.
Yes,
okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for confirming. I'll clear the screen. Let's talk about another example and then inshallah, you would get a better understanding of this topics. Let's talk about example number 2. It is 2x squared plus 3x less than equal to 27. Again, the question is solve this quadratic inequality. So we know step 1 is to just factorize the quadratic part. So I can write it as 2x squared plus 3x minus 27 less than equal to 0. This is what I have. Next, I need to factorize it. So 2 multiplied by 27 would give me minus 54. I need two numbers such that when I multiply them, I get minus 54, and when I add them, I get 3x. So think about it and let me know. We know that 9 multiplied by 6 would give me minus 54, and 9 minus 6 would give me positive 3x, right? So we can use these factors. So 2x squared, positive 9x, negative 6x, minus 27 is less than equal to 0. Then I can take x common. It would give me 2x plus 9 minus 3 common. 2x plus 9 is less than equal to 0. And the factors are x minus 3 and 2x plus 9 less than equal to 0. So we are done with the first part. The first part was just to factorize the quadratic part. I'm done. Next, I need to make the graph. When I say I need to make the graph, I just need to make a rough structure. So for the rough structure, what do I need to know? That the coefficient of x squared is a positive number, so it would be a U-shaped graph. Then I need to talk about the x-intercepts. So there would be x equals 3 and x equals minus 9 by 2. That is minus 4.5. Minus 4.5 and 3. So these are going to be the x-intercepts, and I am going to make a rough graph. Something of this type. I'll just make 3 over there. This is 3. Okay. All right. So this is the rough graph. All right. Now, again, I need to think about it logically. So this is the graph of y equals 2x squared plus 3x minus 27, and it is less than equal to 0. It is less than equal to 0. What does this mean? This means that y is less than or equal to 0. So I need to focus on which points now. It is y is less than equal to 0. So these are the points. Here y is negative, and at this point on the origin y is equal to 0. So for this one, I will be focusing on these points, right? It totally depends upon the sign of your inequality. These are going to be my points, and I am interested in the x coordinates of these points. So it is between minus 4.5 and 3. This value is minus 4.5, and the other one is 3. I can clearly see that this time around it is between minus 4.5 and 3. So x is greater than equal to minus 4.5 and less than equal to 3. This time around I've added less than equal to and greater than equal to. Why equal to? Because I had this part in the question, right? This inequality was given in the question. So now minus 4.5 and 3 are also included, okay? This is how we are going to determine this, and this is going to be the answer right here. Yes, now please tell me if you were able to understand this example or not.
Yes, Miss, I understood.
Okay, very good. And what about you, Mustafa?
Understood.
Okay, all right, very good. Munja, are you okay with it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and all the
Thank
other
you.
students, Hassan, Saad, and Ahmed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, okay, great. Okay, so this was the second question. Let's talk about one more example, and then I will give you a question, okay? Let me take out a question. Okay, let's talk about the third example over here. It is 6x squared minus 23x plus 20. This thing is less than 0. This is the question. Okay, now I know I need to multiply 6 and 20. So you can just factorize it accordingly. It would give you 120. So we need 120. We need two numbers such that when we multiply them, we get 120. And when we add, subtract them, we get 23. Please think about the factors.
20 and 3, 20 minus 3. Yeah.
15 into 8.
15 into 8. Okay, very good. So it means that when I am going to multiply 15 then I would get 120. So I can do minus 15 into minus 8, and that would give you minus 23. Very well done. Excellent. So 6x squared minus 15x minus 8x plus 20 is less than 0. And 3x would give me 2x minus 5 minus 4, and then 2x minus 5 is less than 0. And finally, I would get 3x minus 4 into 2x minus 5 less than 0. Okay, once I'm done with the factorization, I am going to make the graph. So for the graph, I need to look at the coefficient of x squared, that is positive, and it would give me x equals 4 by 3 and x equals 5 by 2. So let's say this is 4 by 3. This one is 5 by 2. It would be something of this type, just a rough shape, okay? Now, this is the graph of y equals 6x squared minus 23x plus 20 less than 0. And it means y is less than 0. So I would be talking about this part of the graph, and on these points, I will be focusing on the x coordinates only. So x would be greater than 4 by 3 and it would be less than 5 by 2. So this was the third example. Okay, this topic is very important. That is why I'm emphasizing again and again. Please confirm if you were able to understand this or not, because the next question is for you guys.
It's understood, ma'am.
Okay, all right, great then. Okay. I'm sure. Okay, definitely, Hassan. I will share the recordings. Don't worry. I have all the recordings available. I'll share them directly. Okay. All right. So I'll clear the screen and I am going to write down 2 questions for you guys. Take your time, do them. It is completely fine if you are giving me a wrong answer. I don't mind wrong answers at all. I just want you to participate. That is it. Answers, obviously, they would you would improve by the end of this course. Okay. So the first one is easy. First question is 5 minus x into x plus 6 greater than equal to 0. One second. This is the first part. You can start off. The question is about solving the inequalities. And I will be writing down the second one here. The second one is this one. 15x is less than x squared plus 56. So these are the 2 questions which you need to solve. I'll mute and I will unmute at 2 p.m. exactly. Okay, so you have 3 to 4 minutes. Try doing it and then we will do it together. But I would want all of you to give me an answer on message. Okay, you can direct message me. If the answer is wrong, I would not mention your name. It's completely fine. All right, students, I got one answer so far. Please try doing both the questions and send me your attempts. Whatever it is, just tell me. I need to see the way you're doing the questions. It's completely fine if they're wrong. Just try doing them and send. Participation is very important, okay? I'm waiting for another minute. Try doing it and then we can discuss. All right, then let's try doing these questions together. For the first one, it is already factorized. You were just supposed to make the graph and then do it. So it is factorized. I am going to make the graph directly. For the graph, I need to think about it this way, that when I will expand it, this would give me 5x plus 30 minus x squared. That is it. So this minus means my graph would be of this shape, okay? And the intercepts would be x equals 5 and x equals minus 6. So this one is minus 6 and this one is 5, and my graph is going to be something of this type, okay? Just a rough graph. That is it. All right. Now I need to think about it this way, that this is the graph of y equals 5 minus x into x plus 6 greater than equal to 0. So I will be talking about these points only. So when I will be focusing on these points only, it means the x coordinates are between minus 6 and 5. So x is greater than equal to minus 6 and it is less than equal to 5. So this is going to be the answer, right? Any confusions in this? Please tell me if you are okay with it or not. Those who were not able to do this, are we good with this now?
Yes.
Okay. And yes, Munja, Rafe, Saad, and Emmet.
It's clear, ma'am.
Clear.
It's clear. Okay, great. Rafe, are you good with it now? I've seen it now. Like everything was good, except the fact that the final answer would be between minus 6 and 5. Okay, that is what you need to understand, because the graph would be other way around. Yes. Okay, great. All right. The one last question from this section. It is this one. So I can write it as x squared minus 15x plus 56. This part is greater than 0. Just focus. I've taken this to the other side and it would give me x squared minus 15x plus 56 greater than 0. Okay. Now it's easy. I need to think about two numbers such that when I multiply them, I get 56, and when I add them, I get minus 15. So can you think about the two factors?
It's minus 7, minus 7.
Sorry, say it again.
Minus 7 and minus 8.
minus 7 and minus 8. Okay, very good. So we know that when I will multiply 7 and 8, it would give me 56. So I can write it this way: x squared minus 7x minus 8x plus 56 is greater than 0. X minus 7 minus 8 common, and then x minus 7 greater than 0. And the factors are x plus 8 and x minus 7 greater than 0. Again, at this point, I don't know how to do it. I need to make the graph and then think about it. Yes?
Yes, this one.
Oh, sorry about it. 1 second. Okay, this would be minus 8 common, and it would give me x minus 7. Okay, so the factors would be x minus 8 and x minus 7 greater than 0. So it is 7 and it is 8. The coefficient of x squared is 1. It is positive, so it would be a U-shaped graph. Just a rough sketch, just a rough sketch. Again, this is the graph of y equals x minus 8 into x minus 7. This part is greater than 0. It means y is greater than 0. If y is greater than 0, I would be focusing on this part of the graph. So it would be basically this and this. So I am going from here to there and from here to here. So x would be less than 7 or x would be greater than 8. Okay. This is how we find the answers. Yes, this was the last question from this section. Now you guys can tell me if you have any confusions, any queries, anything that is coming to your mind for some other scenario. You can ask me right now. We have good enough time. We can discuss this. Okay. Yes. Are we good with this or not? Please confirm.
Yes, miss.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mustafa and Munja.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Okay, great. So it means that we are good with the 7th section of quadratic equations. Let's talk about the 8th one. It's very easy. Let's talk about it. Okay, so 1.8 is basically the number of roots of a quadratic equations. Okay, I've cleared my screen. We have 5 more minutes, so we can just discuss it quickly. It's not difficult at all. 1.8 is the number of roots of a quadratic equation. This is what we need to discuss, okay? In order to determine the number of roots. Now, the maximum number of roots in case of a quadratic equation is 2. We all know this, right? But at times we are getting 1 root and at times we used to get no root. How do we determine this, okay? The idea is very simple. For this, we need to understand the quadratic formula. X is equal to minus b plus minus under the root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. This is what you need to understand. This is basically the discriminant. And you guys know, if we would have anything negative inside the under root, we would come across an error, okay? So we just cannot afford anything negative inside the under root. So that is how we have a few cases. This is basically the discriminant. And we have 3 cases. Let's write those down and then we are good. If b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, you would get 2 distinct roots. 2 distinct roots means 2 different roots, okay? If the discriminant is equal to 0, we will get 2 equal roots. We also write it as repeated roots. And the third one is if the discriminant is less than 0, then we get no real solution. Okay, that is it for today. I'll explain this quickly. We'll talk about this section in detail tomorrow. Okay. The discriminant is basically part of the quadratic formula that we use in order to solve a quadratic equation. In the beginning, we discussed several ways of solving a quadratic equation: by factorization, by completing square method, by the quadratic formula. Minus b plus minus under root b square minus 4ac divided by 2a is your quadratic formula, which would be given in the data booklet. B squared minus 4ac is your discriminant. The number of solutions you would get from your quadratic equation totally depends upon the discriminant. If the discriminant is positive, you would get two different roots. If the discriminant is equal to 0, you would just get one root, or you can say two roots, but they would be equal, right? So technically one root. And if the discriminant is less than 0, then you would get no real solution. You write it down as no real solution. So if you guys are obviously coming from O-level background, so we used to solve quadratic equations there, and we know at times we used to get one solution, two solutions, and no solutions. How and why? It was totally depending upon the discriminant. Okay, now you know the three cases we have. We can have two roots. That is possible when discriminant is positive. You can have no roots if the discriminant is negative, and you can have one root if the discriminant is equal to 0, right? Any questions from this part? We will talk about the questions in detail in the next class. For now, that is it. Please confirm if you have anything that's coming to your mind.
No, miss.
All right.
No.
Okay. All right. That is great. Then I'll stop sharing this. I'll stop the recording.